Hello everyone and welcome to the studios at WJHI. I am Clay Abels joining you here from Jeffersonville High School as we have a new coaches show bringing in with you. Usually we have people from Jeffersonville High School. We've had a few come in from New Washington. Today we have another Mustang here with us. It's Coach Kyle Brown of the New Washington Mustangs boys basketball team. How are we doing today, Coach?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
It's great having you in here. I know for you this has been an interesting first season. It feels like we've had a lot of first-year coaches coming this year with Coach Grants. We've had Coach Nix come down from New Washington. He's had a few years to get things set up. I know this is your first run here at New Washington. Let's start with that. Why come to New Washington? I know you started off your career, at least recently, at Lanesville. What made the decision to move up to New Washington and start a basketball program?
Well, the success that they've had. I mean, they have a lot of tradition up there, going all the way back to Coach Matthews. Coach May continued that, and it's not a job that comes open very often. And I thought, well, let's see. You know, I'm never going to get an answer. You know, I won't be told no if I don't ask. So you know, I applied and interviewed, and the community feel that New Washington has is a place where I feel comfortable. I thought, you know, it's a really good opportunity that may not come around again for a long time. So let's take a shot at it.
Here in this socially distanced production at WJHI with Coach Brown, I'm Clay Abels. And speaking of socially distanced, I know for you as a first-year coach, weren't expecting COVID to jump in the way. And, you know, especially when you're a year-one coach, you're trying to build the blocks for the future. How much did COVID get in the way, and how much did you have to change your usual program? You know, everybody seems to be a 3 to 5 year plan. How much did that change around with all of the movement of the pandemic?
Well, I came in late. It was right at the beginning of school was when I got the job. So they had lost the summer pretty much before I had gotten there. And then when we got started with our regular time that we could start, we got shut down pretty much immediately because we had somebody test positive. And so we had to work through that. And then once we all came back, I tested positive, so that I was out. And we battled it the rest of the year with a player here or there. We didn't end up with a whole team shut down. But it seemed like we never were able to get everyone in our program in the gym at the same time until probably those last 2 weeks of the season. And we played well when everyone was there, but it made the year, you know, that much harder.
I know in the fall everybody was so focused on football and volleyball and everything going on around here and just getting the school year started. But I remember talking to you at the beginning of the basketball season before you were going to get started in November. I remember talking to you and Coach Grants and even Coach Voiles here. Even trying to do basic drills, like you could only have, 4 to 5 in an area, even just trying to do shooting drills.
Yeah, and that, one thing that hurt us, I felt, we did not do any 5-on-5 pretty much all year.
Wow.
Just trying to keep the JV at one end and the varsity at the other end, so if one team ended up getting popped with a quarantine, the other team could still play. And it hurt us short term. On the court a little bit, just because you don't get that 5-on-5, and we don't have enough kids. You know, if we had 25 kids, well, that wouldn't have mattered. But we battled numbers anyway, so it hurt in that aspect. But we were able to get in, 24 games this year, which had we gone 5-on-5 throughout the year, we probably don't get that many in. So I think in the long run, that was probably the best option. Like I said, short term it hurt, but I think in the long run it was the best thing to do.
Again, going back to coaches, I talked this year with Coach Grants coming over in the past. He was at Providence, now he's at Jeffersonville. Coach Voiles, North Harrison at Jeffersonville. You making the move from Lanesville to New Washington. I know there's always an adjustment period of trying to figure out your fan base and the culture and the athletic department. What has it been like getting accustomed to New Washington? And it really is, as somebody that's here at Jeffersonville and New Washington every day, how different it is just from the average school.
Right. Like I talked about, the community feel. I have been embraced by the fan base, by the parents. I couldn't ask for a better group to have worked with this past year, with all of the moving parts and everything that we had to deal with. They were tremendous, and I'm hoping that continues. But they welcomed me in and made that transition easier. I knew a little bit about it because for 3 years at Lanesville, New Washington, our conference was in our sectional. So I was familiar with the personnel that I would be inheriting. So that part I wasn't really that concerned about. I kind of knew that. But just the ins and outs of the school, of the community, of the parents, things like that, are things that I'm still learning. There are things that I every day is something new for me. But again, I think the parents have helped me. The community members, you stop at the gas station or something up there, or go in the Dollar General, people are very welcoming, very polite, have good things to say. So that has made things a lot easier.
For you, when you're trying to reach out to the community, especially parents who have kids that are coming through the elementary and middle school level, you want them to play basketball at the highest level in high school. What, if you're talking to the parents today at this moment, what are some of the values you're trying to get across to, hey, this is what we want to imply into your kid?
Well, the first thing, and it has shown over the last couple of weeks with some announcements that have been made, we stress the academic portion of the student athlete. Our sectional roster was named to the IBCA Honors Court for the entire team, and then we had, I believe, 8 members that were recognized for their GPA as well. And then we had our one of our seniors, Bo Giltner, as a first-team academic All-State, which is, I believe, he's the third. We went back and looked. I believe he's only the third member of New Washington that has made that team. We want to get it done in the classroom. If you can't get it done in the classroom, we don't expect you to be able to get it done on the court. So that's the first thing, is we are very focused on academics. Second, I want good young men to come out of our program. Basketball is high school basketball is for 4 years. There are only a select few that are probably going to advance past that. The rest of you are going to college or out into the workforce. What kind of people are we turning out and putting out into that? And I want people to be able to speak highly of New Washington graduates that come through our program. And those are the two main things. Basketball then will come in. We want to put a good product on the floor. But if those first two are missing, then what's the point?
I know Greater Clark's been very big on athletic facilities. We've seen development throughout all the schools. For you, I know a big advantage is having that new gymnasium up at New Washington finally done. It looks phenomenal. What do you think that adds to the basketball program going forward? I know for you the biggest thing is you want fans in those seats hopefully next year if things get back to normal. What does that add, that gymnasium, for you as a head coach for the basketball program?
Yeah, there are a lot of seats that we can fill in there, which is great. For a 1A school, it is a very, very nice facility. And we got a little taste at the end of the year when we were able to open it up for those last 2 home games to get some fans in there. For the people that weren't able to come to those 2 games, we're really looking forward to this next year, hopefully being able to welcome everyone in. I think it's just the atmosphere that it can have. If you can pack that place full, or as close to full as we can get it, I think it gives us a very big advantage.
For you, I know you talked about you wanted to share your philosophy and your core values with parents. What do people, when they come to it, hopefully, again, we'll get back to a more normal year next year,
right.
When they come to the gymnasium watching New Washington boys basketball on a Friday night, what type of style do you like to play? How do you like to approach your teams in game? What's the type of style Coach Brown likes to work with?
Well, the type of style Coach Brown likes to work with wasn't necessarily the type we employed this year. We kind of had to retool some things after our first 3 games and kind of deal with the personnel we had and what we could do to win games. So we did a more ball control style this year, and it kept us in a lot of games, and we won a couple games we probably shouldn't have playing that way. Now, I would prefer to get up and down the floor and pressure people for 4 quarters, things like that. But sometimes you just don't have the personnel to do that. So if I were a bullheaded coach who said you're going to fit the way I want to play, we would have struggled mightily this year. So I think myself and the rest of the coaching staff, once we kind of figured out the way we needed to play to win, we and I don't want to say we slowed down, but like I said, we controlled the ball a little bit more on offense, which helped us on defense as well. So it was kind of twofold there. But we're looking to get the ball out a little bit more this year coming up with what we have returning. I think we can bump that scoring up a little bit and play a little bit faster, which is what I've told the boys in our meetings since the season ended, that's what we're looking to do. And we're hoping to get a full summer to work on that, to get the ball up, good ball movement, and if you're open, shoot it.
Here with Coach Brown from WJHI Studios, New Washington boys basketball coach Kyle Brown, socially distanced production here from Jeffersonville High School. Coach, you're talking about the off season, and I don't want to, really highlight one player if we have to, but looking at the whole team, I know certainly for me what stood out, and I think for a lot of people, is Matthew Arthur returning. Had a tremendous season for you guys. Talk about what's returning on this team and some of the talent people can see going forward.
Well, we'll start with Matt. He'll be a junior, so we have 2 more years with him. He was named our conference's most outstanding player, the first New Washington player to receive that honor since they started naming a most outstanding player in our conference 21 years ago. So he's going to be, he's going to be the focal point for teams that are coming in. He's going to get a majority of the looks, which I'm excited for that. He wants that challenge, but as a coach, it excites me because I know that we're going to have 4 other guys around him that can put the ball in the bucket, and that's going to take some of the pressure off of him, and it's going to make us dangerous. Kind of his sidekick, Mason Thompson. They're in the same grade. They've played together, all throughout. They work very well together. So those will be 2 guards. We have a sophomore coming back who will be a sophomore, Paul Giltner, who as a freshman saw a lot of minutes, started a lot of games for us, and I thought our offense really worked better when he was in the game. We have Logan Cooper, who will be a senior, one of 2 seniors that we'll have on the team. Kid's range is just crazy. He can step out and shoot. Once he crosses half court, he's open. But I thought an underrated aspect of his game was he was probably our best or second best rebounder coming down the stretch. And he's got a big body where he can get in there and beat and bang around, and I really think that that's an aspect that he can get better at, and it will just make his game that much better because he can not only step out and shoot it, but now he can do a little bit of work inside. And then finally, Hunter Urton will be a sophomore. He's our big. We'd start him here or there, and we'd try to work with him, and then he'd miss for some time just with everything going on. So it was kind of we'd take 2 steps forward with him and 1 step back. But I'm really excited with his potential, and we've talked already. We had individual meetings, and I was telling him some things that I'm looking for him, and he was ready to meet that challenge. So we're going to have 5 guys that saw heavy varsity minutes this past year come back, and there aren't a lot of teams that we're going to play that can say that. So I really think the sky's the limit for this group.
Now that you have what looks to be a normal-ish summer coming ahead, but what are you going to focus on for your first summer program here with New Washington basketball?
The first thing is we're going to get a ton of shots up. I thought that we have a team full of good shooters that just need more reps. And I think the more shots we can get up, the more comfortable they're going to be. Like I said, everyone's going to focus in on Matt. The defenses, that's where their eyes are going to go. So I need the other guys to be able to catch and shoot, and catch and make. We need that threat to where now teams can't focus on Matt as much, because if they leave you, you're going to bury it on them. So the first thing is we're going to get up a lot of shots, and the next thing is defense. Our defense at times struggled, and that's why we tried to control the ball to help our defense out. And really, I'll be honest, that had a lot to do with us just not being able to work a whole lot. You can't. In season, you can't really do a whole lot as far as molding them the way you want them. What you have is what you have at some point. So that's why I think this off season is really big for us to work on some things, see what we're best at, and then work on that. Because this year we were saying, okay, well, let's try this and see if we're good at it. Well, we weren't very good at that, and it was just moving back and forth. I'd like to find 1 or 2 things that I think we're really good at and go forward with it.
Coach, last thing I'll ask you here as we wrap up. The people of New Washington, the community, what is the best way anybody around here can come out and support you, or anything you'd like to say to them going forward? I know, again, a lot of people didn't get to see you this year because of the fan environment and people weren't allowed in, but what would you tell the people of New Washington how to best support you and this basketball program?
Right. Well, obviously, coming to games, if possible, is the first thing. Second, I would just say if you see one of the boys out in the community somewhere, or wherever it might be, give them a word of encouragement. I think where we're at, we're kind of isolated by ourselves up there, and you kind of get in that bubble. But if you see any of our boys out, just give them a word of encouragement and watch them, because I can tell you that what you're going to see is characteristics of the type of people that we want in our program. Good boys that are trying to do the right thing. And if you see that, kind of let them know that you see that, and that means the world to them, to know that people have their back. Third thing is if whatever fundraisers we have, please support, so we can keep pushing forward with the program. We normally hold a golf scramble, and this past year we weren't able to do that with COVID, so that kind of threw our whole fundraising thing into flux. But we're hoping to get back to that this year. I've got a couple other things in mind that we're going to try to do, and as far as we normally have a steak dinner as well that the community can come to, and they call it the snake dance, where we ride fire trucks, and then we have a pep rally afterwards, kind of a kickoff for the season. That was kind of broken down a little bit last year because of COVID, but our hope is to get all that back this year, up and running, 100%, and that's a great way to come out and show your support, kind of to kick off the year whenever that happens.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming in, and I know you mentioned a little while ago that you've been well received, and it's been well deserved. I know you've really fit in well with that community up there. People have embraced you, and you deserve it. So I've been happy for you, and like I said, I'm excited that it looks like next year you'll finally have a normal year. You'll get into the style of play you want to, so we're excited to have you here. We're excited to hopefully have you back here in the studio.
Oh, thank you, Clay. Anytime.
That's Coach Kyle Brown from New Washington Boys Basketball here with us at the WJHI studios for our Boys Basketball Coaches Show. If you'd like to go back and watch this program, it'll be on Cable 184 along with online at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just check it out on the WJHI social media pages. For Coach Kyle Brown, I'm Clay Abel saying so long. Thank you for tuning in here from the WJHI studios. We'll see you next time on 98.5 WJHI, LP Jeffersonville, home of the Red Devil Network.